Welcome, everyone. As the title suggests, a movie came out yesterday called Malignant in theaters and on HBO Max, in case you're curious. I'm going to start out being as non-spoilery as I can, and whenever I reach a certain point, I'm going to go into spoilers. I'll let you know when, just so you have a chance to get away or for YouTube, skip ahead. So let's start from the beginning on this one, because like I said, it came out yesterday. I know a lot of people haven't seen it yet. Things to note right here. From James Wan, director of Saw, Insidious, and The Conjuring. And yes, he got story by credit, directed and produced Malignant. So he's all over this film. And in case you're not familiar with James Wan, let's just, we'll show off some of what his work is. Directed Saw, Dead Silence, which, God, I hated that movie. Insidious, which I enjoyed a lot, not so much for Insidious 2, thought that was kind of crappy, but whatever. The Conjuring, fucking great movie, even though if you'll look at some of my other videos, I mentioned how that entire universe is plagued by not so good movies. Aquaman, still haven't seen it, don't really care to. He's doing the new Aquaman as well. And he's working on another Insidious. Now, James Wan is very, very good at certain things. I think he kind of peaked with The Conjuring, and I think that's mostly because he had a fantastic cast all the way through. Even the child actors were very, very good. The writing for The Conjuring was also very solid, based off of a, true story. So he had a lot to work with. And basing it around, whatever the name for that ghost hunter couple is that I can't remember the name of right now. Basing horror movies around their work should be relatively easy, because there's a lot of documentation on a lot of it, and a lot of good characters and some of the stories that come from the real thing. As far as I understand, Malignant is just a completely new IP and concept. And I have to say, the overall concept of it and the driving force of the film, I thought was fun. I thought it was cool. But this movie is not scary. You can't sell me a horror movie and just throw this, 80s font aping so many other things that have come out since the 2010s, and expect me just, primed and ready to go into a horror movie, and then do nothing that's really scary at all. Classic jump scares with loud noises going on. Not too many of them, but there was one or two that really annoyed the shit out of me. Other than that, the acting was, in some parts, worse than anything I've seen on television. And I'm including, any of the shittiest TV movies you can think of. Like, some of the acting, especially in the opening sequence of Malignant, is fucking terrible. On top of that, your main character, she doesn't have much of a character other than, I think, 3 or 4 scenes she explains herself through dialogue, and very little, if any of that, is actually shown through her actions. It's very, very surface level character for our main character. And on top of that, you have these fucking side characters who are written to be zany, funny. I don't know. They would be great side characters in a different film, but this film has it's too much comedy to be a straight up horror, and it's not enough comedy to be a comedy horror, because the overall premise and everything is dealt with very seriously, and it's one of the more painful films I've watched recently. Let's take a look at Malignant's page here, because there was one other person I wanted to mention. Alright, Michael Burgess, yes. I think this guy is a fantastic DP, alright? He's worked on some great movies and some shitty movies, but he does a lot of work with James Wan specifically Curse of La Llorona, that's all part of the Conjuring universe shit. Same with The Nun. I mean, he did Logan. Logan was a beautiful film. Unfortunately, it was on the Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 1. For more on my hate of the Hunger Games series, wait until I finally finish editing my other video I'm working on right now. Wow, he also did Divergent. Yikes. But the Avengers, you know, there you go. A little something. So yeah, you get the idea. I like this guy overall, and once again, he's director of photography, so you can't blame him for any of the story problems or acting problems, any of that shit. You can pretty much only blame him for the camera movements itself. So for Malignant, camera movement and the way they use the camera in all of this is fucking fantastic, I thought. There's especially certain scenes, certain camera movements you'll see that are just perfect. I think about maybe 5 or 6 times there were just specific stills and shots where I thought, you know, that could, I would put that on my background of my computer, on my desktop. I wouldn't mind just looking at that single still. He also is pretty damn good at filming action. Strangely enough, for a horror movie that has too much comedy, not enough horror, it also has a shitload of action sequences. Well, I say shitload, but it has too many action sequences to be a real, to feel horror-y, because I will say there is a creative touch to the action sequences, and if you've seen it, you'll know what I'm talking about, that make them a tiny bit horrific and a little more, I don't know, different than what you would normally see. There's just one little thing that does that for you. And overall, I think most of the action parts were done well. Once again, the DP, Michael Burgess, did a great job filming it. I don't know. It feels like James Wan has backed himself into a corner of doing horror, but is wanting to do other things. And so he just has to I want to do action sequences in this movie because I want to do more action stuff. Fine. You know, like, you directed the 7th Fast and Furious movie. I'm sure you can do action fine. Whatever, but just stick to a genre, man. Come on, man. This is supposed to be a horror movie. And you're doing everything except for full-blown horror. The one problem I do have with this film that I don't know if we can blame Michael Burgess for this or James Wan for this, one or the other. The whole movie just looks like shit. You see how the main character here, is being lit from one direction, and everything, it seems like they put a filter just to make everything darker. Her shadows go from, just a tiny bit of shadow to completely fucking black immediately. That's how the whole movie is. I could probably count on one hand the number of scenes where there was more than one light source on an actor in a scene. It's kind of absurd. And because of that, and because of whatever color shifting and color correction they did, it looks worse than a Hallmark movie. Honestly, most of the film. Including, and now that I'm thinking about it, this reminds me of the Curse of La Llorona, so it might be Michael Burgess's fault. There are multiple scenes where people are outside during the daytime, and yet everything still looks muted and grayscale. Or there's a scene of the main character and her sister sitting in a car in her driveway, and everything is so shaded and toned down that it looks the same as some of the night scenes, which take place mostly in the dark. It's bright fucking middle of the day. Why is everything so muted and gray? I can't stand it. And whenever we get into more spoilers, I will be showing at least a couple of clips and pictures to illustrate this. Alright, you see this lighting? Once again, she is being hit by a single fucking spotlight, by the looks of it. That is the lighting for 98% of this film. That right there. Just a spotlight on one actor against a wall. 98% of your film. It gets really tiring, and it makes a lot of people look like shit. And when you color correct it to also darken around the edges, here, let me move it so you can see that a little bit better. So you see how it darkens around the edges a bit, and like this is mostly the lighting, but I guarantee they did a little bit of color correction on this as well. Everything beyond this line right here, basically where the shadow for this dresser starts, everything gets darker. You have this beautiful shaft of light in the background, but it does nothing because it's not helping our scene at all whatsoever, except to contrast. You have a bright spot, void, bright spot. That's about all you have going for that. The entire movie looks like this. There's some light source off in the back that, doesn't affect anything. It's just kind of there. And then there's a single spotlight on whoever the actor is for the scene. And you get these really harsh shadows. And on top of that, once again, whatever color correction they did just completely fucks up 90% of the shots. Writing-wise, I think I've gotten most of my complaints out. I actually enjoyed the goofiness of some of it. For instance, there's a couple of one-liner jabs in there. There's one really bad one at the very beginning, but they are usually used, they come up later and are referred to later, and it's fine. I think they work pretty well. The goofiness of it would be great, but it's one of these films that's made too well to be funny bad, but not good enough to be really good. Considering it's James Wan, the gore and everything is kind of toned down and really fast. I mean, you're talking about the guy who started the Saw franchise, given the original Saw was nowhere near the gore fest that the series became. You still expect a little bit more out of him. And the biggest problem with the writing would be characters doing things that no human being would do. For instance, I'm closing up shop for the night at my work. I turn out all the lights, and then I hear a noise in one of the areas that I just turned the lights out on. Well, I probably need to go check that, make sure no customers are just hanging around in my workplace before I lock it up for the evening. What's the first thing I do? Do I just walk in there in the black void when I'm assuming there's someone there that I don't know and who knows their motives or thoughts, anything? Or do I just, turn the light back on and then go looking? Seems like a pretty easy fucking option. But no, the writer, director, actor, whoever the fuck, nobody could put two and two together on that one. So the character's just gonna walk into a pitch black room, yelling into the void, and then when they get scared, they run back 20, 30 feet to try and turn the light back on? What? Why would that not be the first fucking thing you do? I wanted to watch the trailer for this because I don't know if I ever actually saw the trailer, so we're gonna take a look at that.
I'm having visions.
Okay, what is the music? What come on. I fucking hate the strobe effect in trailers. I know there's only 4 or 5 fucking trailer houses that make every movie trailer ever, but come on, man, we gotta stop with the strobe thing. Ugh, and fucking horror trailers, come on.
The body of Dr. Florence Weaver was found brutally murdered in her home this...
See, this is what I was saying about the lighting earlier. You got one source directly on your actors and another source in the background that's not helping fucking anything.
Did you know her?
Oh, look, even worse. They're both backlit. So, Jesus Christ. We're basically getting fucking awful silhouettes. And this is your trailer. What? I understand silhouettes for, a certain part of a film or to get just one certain shot, maybe two, in an entire film, but you don't show that shit on the trailer?
But I saw her die. I'm seeing things.
Strobe, strobe, strobe.
I'm seeing murders. As they're happening.
Hello?
Oh. How many fucking silhouette shots are there in this film, I wonder? Because, Jesus Christ, we've had 2 separate scenes with basically silhouette shots.
His name is Gabriel. I think he's someone from my past.
Notice how almost every shot is either gray or blue scaled as well.
Whatever happened to you before you joined our family?
Yeah, even in the fake fucking home video she's watching, there's a bunch of goddamn blue. Look at this color palette. It looks like shit.
Hurt you in a way that I can't even imagine.
Blue, blue, all blue. All blue. Everything blue. Okay. Why is it echoing? Why are you adding an echo to a home video? Blue. Blue and gray. Everything blue and gray. I really don't care for that actor as well.
Whatever it was.
I do want to say, this building right here, I don't know what it is or where it's at, or if it even fucking exists. It might be a complete, wholly fake creation, I don't know. But it's pretty fucking cool looking building. Like, r/evil buildings, hell yeah.
It's back.
Yep, you just saw that very famous spider crawl thing that's used in, or crab walk thing that's used in like every weird Japanese ghost movie that has come out since, I don't know, the late 90s, early 2000s. While that is a pet peeve of mine a lot of the time, it makes sense in this film.
He killed again. He's getting closer.
Blue, gray, blue, gray,
He wants to talk to you.
blue, gray, blue. More fucking blue and gray.
Mom, what do you know?
This shot. This is exactly what I'm talking about. This shit right here. It is middle of the goddamn day. Everything's still fucking toned down. Why? Why do you not... Either James Wan or the editor or fucking Michael Burgess, one of y'all, made the decision to make everything look like shit. Why? You know what would really contrast those creepy, scary scenes where it's all dark and moody and everything? A bright, vibrant scene with color. Put more fucking color over here. Or, over here. One of those 2 areas would be great. It doesn't have to be the main focus of the shot. No. But it's middle of the fucking day. Why does everything look fucking gray? Look. Same fucking color palette as the previous shot, just a tiny bit darker. There. And there. Same fucking color palette. There. And there. One's just a little bit darker than the other.
It's coming from me.
I will also say, there's more CGI in this film than I would have cared for, but it is done very well. I mean, fucking big dollar movie with James Wan directing it, ought to have pretty good fucking special effects. But I personally prefer, just practical effects. I don't remember seeing much CGI blood. CGI blood is the one thing that really pisses me off. I understand using squibs and actual corn syrup or whatever they use nowadays. It's difficult because if you need to reshoot, you have to clean up everything, reset everything. You have to have multiples for every fucking costume and whatever. I get that, but at the same time, CGI blood has never looked good and probably never will, because if we haven't gotten it right by now, I don't see anyone getting it right in the future. Hey look, it's one of the 2 or 3 shots from the movie that isn't entirely blue and grayscale, and it's red. Classic. Classic. Man, let me tell you. If I were going to make a horror film today, I think I would have to purposefully not do a shot with red in it like this. Like, I personally enjoy really stylized shots like that just have, a flood of color on one part of the scene, but it's so cliche to do it in a horror movie now, I'm not sure I'd be able to use red. I think I've watched 6 or so horror films in the past 2 weeks, and any of them with a decent budget has had a shot like this, where either the entire shot or half the shot is flooded in red. Scream noises. So I think y'all get the idea. So what is that big premise I was talking about that actually works well? The whole idea is that your main character, she had a conjoined twin that was, I forget the term for it, they'd say it in the film, but it's basically just a malignant growth because the conjoined twin cannot support itself. It is just leeching off of the main twin. The backstory is that her mother, their mother, whichever way you want to say it, just gave them up to a group of doctors to study and fuck with them for as long as they wanted, I guess. They basically ended up needing to chop out the, malignant one, but they couldn't get all of them because they shared a brain. So they had to stuff what was left of him into her skull. It's so goddamn goofy, it's great. That whole premise, I kind of love. And I kind of love some of the other stuff they set up where this malignant twin that is now only a piece of her brain, supposedly, somehow projects his voice through electronics, like radios, telephones, any of that kind of shit. He figures out a way to project his voice through that whenever he's doing all of his fucking paranormal powers that don't have any rules or sense to them. Lights flicker on and off, which there's a lot of blinking lights in this goddamn movie, but they don't explain it at all, which is a problem. There needs to be some kind of rules, like Insidious and The Conjuring have a lot of paranormal things going on, but there are rules that are spelled out before everything is just laid out for you. I don't need a full-blown exposition scene telling me what the hell is going on, but this movie is damn near 2 hours long, and you didn't explain any of it. You explained, what he is, or was, or whatever. You explained that he has enough control of our main character's brain to sometimes take over her body, and therefore go out and take revenge on the people that he hates. It's so much of it is just incomprehensible. It truly, truly is. Side characters, like I was talking about earlier. Her sister is kind of a great character. She's, a crappy waitress at a crappy restaurant, and she knows her sister's going through a lot of crazy shit, so she's gonna go help her, and she's, an actual human being, or written to be an actual human being, unlike a lot of these other characters who are written to be, I don't know what. They're not people, that's for sure. The male cop who is just trying to get into main character's sister's pants while hoping that someone else just solves a bunch of murders for him. He doesn't act very much like a detective, doesn't do very many detective-y things, His partner, strong black woman, but she gets super annoying, and also her character just kind of fades away at the same time. She has a bunch of lines that, I don't know, they just needled me the wrong way, the way they were uttered. And on top of that, her character goes from being a hard-ass, like, look, main character girl is the killer, we've got her fucking dead to rights, it's her, it's done, and before they get any, like, solid proof or evidence of something else, she's just, like, out of the conversation, gone. If it had looked good, I think I would have laughed more and yelled less. But the entire opening sequence looks as if it were, I don't know, a low-quality soap opera that's trying to be scary, I guess. Is there such thing as a horror soap? If not, there should be. Now, given I am not very good at doing the whole color and everything for this kind of stuff, because I generally don't need to deal with that very much. But they've forced my hand on this one, I guess we'll say. You see this? How it's all skewed to blue? That right there. So this is our original image. What happens if we just skew the whole thing back the opposite direction? Oh look, they begin to look like people. Oh my god. Look at that. Holy shit, they look like people. Look at the difference in the tone and color of these two pictures, alright? And I literally just scaled back from basically fixing all of the blue correction that they put on this movie. They skewed it so far into the blue that these don't look like people, they look like corpses. And look how much makeup they have to, like, when I bring it back to how it's supposed to be, look how much makeup she's having to wear to make her look like a corpse in the finished product. It's fucking ridiculous. I understand color shifting your film, to get a sense of consistency and fluidity. But when you shift it that much for every scene, like I said, this is a fucking midday scene in a car where there should be plenty of natural lighting, and instead, everything's fucking blue and gray. Let me see if I can find one more picture to go with, and then we'll call it quits after that. I think I've gotten most of my point across here. Jesus, everything blue. Everything blue. All the time. Alright, see, that's an actually normally lit... Well, I say normally. Still got the fucking shaft of light in the background for no reason. It's supposed to be nighttime. Why is there a bright light shining through the window? God damn it. Ah, this is the one. Alright. Once again, outside, middle of the day, character sitting on a porch. And here's our shift again. Alright, see, at least it's not... The previous one was like all shifted almost in a straight line. See how it was shifted like all that way? It's almost a straight line right there. So it's going pretty solidly into the blue, more toward green than purple. So let's go back to our new image. Once again, absurdly blue and green. This one's going to be a little bit more difficult because you want to go like exact opposite. Yeah, so I'm going too far red there, I believe. Oh, there we go. Fine line. Right about there. There's your side by side. So much more natural looking. And if you took the time to actually, like, I don't know, put some colorful props over here or over there and allow those colors to really pop in the sunlight, it would make the scenes that are supposed to look like this look so much better and scarier because you're contrasting the horrifying unknown of the dark with the very bright and vibrant day. How is it that difficult to understand? Please, explain to me, James Wan or Michael Burgess, whichever one of you is in control of this shit. Explain to me why you won't let colors into your film. I think that's about all I've got in me, honestly. I don't know how much more I can talk about this film. The story is just all over the goddamn place. It has no rules or established bounds within the universe. It's just a fucking flop, man. I can't recommend it. I'm gonna give it a 6 out of 10. No, 5 out of 10. You're losing a point just because of this color gradient bullshit. I can't fucking stand it. The whole movie looked like shit to me. It's a fun ride if you're looking for something stupid and goofy, which wasn't what I was looking for, which might be why I'm so upset. But looking for something stupid and goofy, go for it. Action sequences that are actually very well done and kind of interesting. When her twin brother is controlling the brain, he's like got some kind of face that's in the back of main girl's head. So when he's controlling the body, he's facing the wrong direction for a body, which is why he does like the crab walky shit. Like everything he does is as if your head was on backwards and you were controlling your arms and legs to do things in front of you. Makes sense within the film. It's fine. It looks a little goofy, but could have been a little bit creepier, I think. Like, it's a little creepy, but mostly just kind of looks weird and goofy. Did make for some fun action sequences, though. That's about it. I say if you already have HBO Max and you're looking to have a few laughs and watch something goofy, go check it out. If not, that's fine too. Don't watch it. Thanks for watching. YouTube, please subscribe, like, share, whatever the fuck. And if you want me on Twitch, it's twitch.tv/ApatheticJake. Come join me for ranting about movies and every once in a while playing a video game.